Gamers, what's up? We've been playing Dawntrail for about 2 weeks now, and I think it's fair to say this expansion is phenomenal. Terrible.
You mean
Absolutely,
terrible?
yes, terrible.
Phenomenal.
It's so boring. What are you talking about? Snooze
We've been
fest,
playing the same
and it's
game?
woke. It's
What are you-
awful. I
what?
can't stand it. Hey gamers, Dawntrail has been out for about 2 weeks now, and there's a lot to talk about with this one. I want to talk about the quality of the story in this expansion because, from what I've seen, that's where most of the complaints are. Now, I did not rush to do the MSQ. If you saw my pre-Dawntrail video, I had planned on holding off for a little bit, taking my time so that I could enjoy the story. However, after I got my Viper leveled up to level 90, I realized there's actually not that much to do unless you get that MSQ out of the way. So that's what I've been working on recently. Still, not rushing myself, taking my time so I can enjoy it. And what I have to say so far is two things, okay? Two things. One, I am enjoying it actually. And two, it is probably the worst storyline since A Realm Report. Now, I know that might be confusing, but just settle down. I'll explain myself. But first, spoiler warning, okay? I'm going to be spoiling everything. I'm going to be spoiling Dawntrail. I'm going to be spoiling Endwalker. I'm going to be spoiling that one super secret side quest where we get to learn who Alphinaud's true parents. They're actually birds. I actually do have one more disclaimer for y'all. I'm currently only about halfway through the MSQ. Listen, there's 100 quests, okay? I'm a little over 50 done. I finished the Rite of Succession. I saw the cutscene with Zatul Jaja opening what I assume is the gate to the Golden City, and the last thing I did was go meet Aaronville in Shalwani, I think is what it's called, the Red Dead Redemption Zone. Side note, by the way, best zone music in the entire game. Needless to say, though, the Rite of Succession is the main focus of what I've done so far, and it's very hit or miss. I think a big part of that is obviously the presence of and the focus on Wuk Lamot. If you're at all present on Twitter or the subreddit, it's not going to be news to you that this character is pretty divisive. So let's just talk about her, get it out of the way first, okay? One more disclaimer, actually. I am kind of primed to hate this character, all right? She's a very rambunctious, enthusiastic, annoyingly optimistic, sort of Naruto-esque kind of person. I remember watching Naruto on Toonami as a kid, and I remember Naruto saying, you know, I'm gonna be Hokage one day, believe it! And I noped out of the show right then and there. Sorry, but listen, if you're watching this, you should know that that's the kind of character that that's the kind of character I just don't like, okay? They've always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't care for them. That being said, there are characters who sort of fall in that category, or like maybe like adjacent categories that I can grow to love, right? Like a Goku maybe isn't like that far off from like what Wuk Lamot is, right? However, I think a key difference between someone like a Goku or and like a Naruto or a Wuk Lamot is that Goku's lack of aspirations for leadership, I think, to me at least, do a lot to endear him. I think like being like the kind of character who's like a comically, you know, they're comically super hungry all the time and very unserious. Those kinds of traits are a lot more forgivable when you are not seeking a position of authority over other people. But you know what? Listen, I could go on for a long time. Let's just move on. Personality stuff aside, I think there are still big problems with the way that this character is written. Early on in us knowing her, she points out to Kryl that her father could not have possibly written a letter to Galif because he doesn't know how to write the common Eorzean tongue. And when we arrive in Tuliolal, she comes across as like very rightly proud of her people, and she's very knowledgeable about them and their culture. However, we then go on like very quickly to spending the next few major legs of our journey learning about the local cultures. And to be fair, some of it is like some historical stuff that I guess is like, okay, I wouldn't expect you to know that. But a lot of it, like a surprisingly big amount, is very basic stuff. Like, I think the worst example is with the Hanu, the bird people, where she has to learn, like, what is the common greeting between them? Like, bro, how do you not know this? This is like a tribe that, or a society that like borders on the capital city of your country, how do you not know how they greet each other? And listen, don't get me wrong. I don't hate everything about the Rite of Succession. A lot of going around and learning about Tyrell's cultures is actually very interesting to me, and I think it's very in line with a lot of other stories that we've done in Final Fantasy XIV. It is kind of shocking here how much of it seems like brand new information for a character who wants to lead these people. Like, she wants to be in charge of all of them, and she seems to barely know anything about, like, not even like the most secluded tribes, but like just some of like the biggest societies or cultures within her nation. She seems completely unaware of them. Moving on though, kind of like wrapping up this stuff for the Rite of Succession, the premise itself of having like a Rite of Succession, we're here in Tyrell trying to find, you know, their next ruler. That premise in itself is not that bad. I don't think it's the best, but I don't think it's bad. The execution though, in some sections, I think is really lacking. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm not going to go over like each and every little community that we visit to point out what was good and what was bad. We'll just say that tonally, there's a lot of inconsistency, right? Some tribes ask us to climb the highest mountain in the land so that we may do battle with their greatest warrior, while another wants us to participate in like a cooking competition. Even just thinking about it kind of like deflates me. And listen, relieving tension with comedy is fine. It's something that 14 has always done. But the whiplash in some places here is it's just a little too much. And the way the Rite of Succession concludes as well is very lackluster. The way that Bakul Jaja does this 180 turn into being like a sympathetic character, and Wuk Lamot just gives him that sympathy is crazy, okay? After everything he did, it just makes no sense to be buddies with him. It like literally every one of his actions has proved that he is like a violent threat to his enemies, to his friends, to literally everyone around him. There's no reason to like try to be friends with him. And to see Wuk Lamot kind of go for that is one thing, but how do our friends go along with that? Like, how many times in Shadowbringers did Emet-Selch play nice with us and even give us like actual help in some parts of the story, only for our whole team to still be like super wary of him and not trust him at all? Why would we be so accepting of this one dude who up till now has just been literally the biggest jerk in the world? Yeah, and talking about that also, why are some of these characters even here? Like, Kryl and Erenville, I think, have some good reasons to be here. Thancred and Urianger as well, I think they're fine, and I think our interactions with them are actually kind of fun. But what the fuck are the twins doing here? Okay, look, listen, I love them and everything, but here, they are just dead weight. And I understand how, like, they're kind of like the poster children for Final Fantasy XIV. So maybe we kind of have to bring them along, but we should have at least taken some time to do more with them. And actually, like, to be honest, same for Kryl. I have a good feeling that we'll get to more of her story in the second half, so, you know, maybe I'll come back and maybe I'll be wrong later. But we barely do anything to further her story for, like, pretty much the first half of this expansion story. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I forget she's even with us. And also, speaking of characters, why is Estinian here? There are, like, past expansions where he's had a small role in the story, but when we catch up with him, he's actually doing something like really important, even if it's just in the background and even if we personally don't even interact with him. But in Dawntrail, he's like a huge focus in the cinematic, and in the actual game, when we bump into him, it's only for like a minute, and it's right before he just fucks off to kick rocks. I don't understand. Why was he included here? Having said all that, just because the story this time feels like it's of lower quality than previous expansions doesn't mean that it lacks any quality at all. There are plenty of charming characters that we meet along our journey, like in the various villages and stuff. Seeing Bakul Jaja like clown on and bully Wuk Lamot is pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. And if I'm gonna be fair, and I will be here, I think Wuk Lamot does have like a handful of good moments where she comes across as like very caring for her people. Like, she genuinely, I think, loves others in a way that's like admirable, and there like is some endearing moments for her. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, okay? But oh my god, oh that part where she comes to us at our hotel room and is acting like all super nervous, like she's trying to confess her love to us, and then she takes us to the top of the city to look over her whole domain at sunrise, only to say like, I really like peace and friendship. That's just so mind-numbingly stupid writing. Like, who does that? Nobody. No character has ever acted that way in the entirety of fiction. It's so okay. Man, I'm calming down. Chilling. I'm chill. I'm chill and I can finish this video. Listen. Story aside, there's still a lot to love in Dawntrail. I love the new zones, like the look of them, the geography of them, the music in them. The battle content in this expansion is probably some of the best we've ever had. And to be fair as well, a lot of these Final Fantasy XIV expansions have had these weird story beats in the past in their MSQs. Like, I'm pretty sure in Endwalker, when we were on our super special secret like time travel mission to uncover the truth of the ancients in the past, that was like so special that like we could not even reveal our true identities. I'm pretty sure we took the time to stop and like pick flowers for some random dipshit. And listen, on that note, to be honest, I think a lot of you guys kind of forget that sometimes, that these like weird story beats kind of always exist. Not just like in ARR, like even in the expansions that everybody loves, like even in Shadowbringers, this stuff is present. The highs of this game's story are really high. And I think they do a lot to distract us, especially after the fact. And sometimes there are a lot of moments in this game that can kind of just be boiled down to run around and read dialogue boxes and barely do anything else besides that, which is what I've seen a lot of people kind of like complain about, which is a fair critique to have. But again, Dawntrail's not unique in this. But I do think, I will say, again, if I haven't already made it clear, which I think I have, the story here is definitely lacking. My final verdict I'll say is that I think the mixed reviews are kind of deserved, at least to me, because I think they reflect how I feel about the story, which is, yeah, pretty mixed to say the least, right? What do you guys think? Are the issues in Dawntrail's story unique to Dawntrail? Are there parts of the story that you enjoyed? I know I didn't get around to talking about a lot of those, but it'd be awesome for you guys to leave that in the comments. I might not be as present there as I usually am because I'm still working my way through the second half of the MSQ and I don't want to get like too spoiled. But I'd appreciate if y'all guys, shared your thoughts, and make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, because I know most of you aren't. And I am definitely planning on making another video very soon when I do finish the MSQ. Plus, I'm going to be pumping out some other 14's content as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, nerds. Peace out. The ending felt a little bit weird. Run with it, publish it, put it out there. Let's go. Thanks, Jen. Love you. Bye.